The note was pinned to the fridge, a single sheet of paper, its edges curling like a confession. "I'm done with you," it read, James's handwriting sharp, final, as if our 12 years together could be erased with a pen. I stood in the kitchen, the hum of the appliance loud in the silence, my coffee cooling on the counter. My chest tightened, not with tears, but with a raw, burning ache. He'd left me, not with words, but with this, a coward's exit. If you've ever felt the sting of betrayal, if you seek stories of those who rise from its ashes, join me here, in this space where truths are laid bare. Share your thoughts below, let's unravel this together. I didn't call him, didn't scream into the void he'd left. I folded the note, slipped it into my pocket, and sat at the table, the wood grain familiar under my fingertips. The house was too quiet, no clatter of his keys, no hum of his voice. I'd given him everything, my time, my trust, my dreams, and he'd walked away. But as the morning light spilled through the blinds, something shifted inside me. I wasn't broken. I was awake, and James would soon learn what this fragile, hadn't always teetered on the edge of collapse. When I met James, I was 25, a bookstore manager with a love for novels and a knack for arranging displays that drew customers in. The shop smelled of paper and ink, shelves groaning under hardcovers, my days spent recommending mysteries or stacking bestsellers. James was a customer, a marketing consultant, all confidence and quick smiles, asking for a book on leadership. We talked for hours, him leaning against the counter, me blushing as I suggested titles. He came back the next day, and the next, until coffee dates turned into late-night talks about our futures. We married a year later in a small park, under a canopy of oaks, my dress simple, his vows earnest. I designed our invitations, hand-drawn ivy curling around our names, a promise of forever. We bought a house in a Seattle suburb, a craftsman with creaky floors and a porch I painted blue. I managed the bookstore, my evenings filled with inventory or reading galleys, while James climbed the corporate ladder, his suits sharper, his hours longer. We dreamed of kids, a garden, travel, Italy, maybe, or Japan. I planted lavender by the porch, its scent calming me after long days, my fingers dusted with soil. Mornings were a ritual, coffee brewing as I sliced fruit, James scrolling his phone, the radio soft with news. I'd leave notes in his briefcase, kill it at work. And he'd kiss my forehead, his cologne lingering. We hosted barbecues, friends laughing on the porch, my chili simmering, James charming everyone. I worked weekends, covering shifts, saving for our dreams, while he traveled for clients, his suitcase always half-packed. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours, a life built on shared glances and quiet compromises. I trusted him, believed in the man who'd promised forever. But trust can be a veil, hiding the cracks until they split wide open. Looking back, I see the signs I missed, the moments I explained away. James's late nights, his vague answers about trips, New York, Dallas, always work. I'd nod, ignoring the unease, focusing on my books, my lavender, anything to keep the doubt at bay. But that note, those 4 words, tore the veil apart. He thought he'd ended us. He was wrong. The signs had been there, faint at first, like a whisper in a crowded room. 6 months ago, James started changing, his warmth cooling, his presence a shadow. He'd come home late, his tie loosened, his eyes distant, muttering about deadlines. I found a receipt in his jacket, for a dinner I hadn't shared, 2 cocktails, a steak, a date he'd never mentioned. I held it in the laundry room, the dryer's hum drowning my thoughts, telling myself it was a client, nothing more. But the seed was planted, and it grew. He stopped noticing me, his compliments fading, his touch rare. No more brushing my hair aside as I read, no more teasing about my endless book piles. Our conversations dwindled to logistics, bills, groceries, the car's tires. I'd catch him smiling at his phone, quick to lock it, his fingers tense. I tried to bridge the gap, cooked his favorite pasta, planned a movie night with popcorn and wine. He cancelled, said he had a late meeting, left me alone with the credits rolling, the screen's glow cold. Then there was Claire, his new colleague, mentioned too often, her name slipping into his stories like a melody. Claire's sharp, he'd say, or Claire nailed the pitch. I met her at a company event, her laugh bright, her dress tailored, her handshake cool. James's eyes followed her, a spark I hadn't seen in years. I brushed it off, blamed my tired eyes, my long shifts. But a text I glimpsed, tomorrow, see, can't wait made my heart drop. I didn't confront him, not yet. I wasn't ready to face the truth, to shatter the life I'd built. Other clues stacked up, each a weight I carried. A new passcode on his phone, when he'd never used one. A withdrawal from our savings, $8,000, no explanation. I checked the bank app, my hands shaking, the numbers stark. He said it was for investments, his tone sharp, daring me to push. I didn't. I kept working, kept smiling, kept pretending, but the note on the fridge was the final straw, the moment I could no longer look away. The house empty, my shift at the bookstore cancelled. I stood there, the paper crinkling in my hand, James's words echoing. I'm done with you. Not us, not our marriage, me. The cruelty cut deep, a wound that bled anger, not tears. I wanted to call him, to demand answers, but I didn't. I sat at the kitchen table, the note beside my coffee, and let the pain wash over me. It hurt, God, it hurt, but beneath it, something stirred, a resolve, a refusal to be discarded like trash. I thought of the years I'd given him, the nights I'd waited, the dreams I'd shelved for his career. Guilt gnawed at me, had I been too focused on work, too trusting? Doubt whispered I should let him go, move on, but anger burned brighter. He'd betrayed me, not just with another woman, but with this note, this act of cowardice. I wasn't Emily, the broken wife. I was Emily, the woman who'd built a life, who'd survived, who'd fight back. I opened my laptop, the screen's glow harsh, and started digging. Our bank accounts first, more withdrawals, thousands, funneled to an account I didn't know. I screenshot everything, my fingers steady, fueled by purpose. I guessed his email password, our anniversary, the arrogant fool, and found messages to Claire, not just work, but plans, a life without me. Soon, one read, "We'll be free." I forwarded them, deleted the trace, and kept searching, my heart a drumbeat of rage and clarity. I found more, a lease for a condo in Portland, in Claire's name, paid with our money. Hotel bookings, trips he'd never mentioned. A draft divorce agreement, my name erased, our savings redirected. Each discovery was a blow, but also a weapon. I called my friend Laura, a lawyer, her voice calm as I told her everything. "We'll bury him," she said, and I nodded, though she couldn't see. I wasn't a victim. I was a storm, and James was about to feel it. The next week was a master class in restraint. I played the part, Emily, the unaware wife, cooking dinner, asking about his day, while my mind mapped every move. I bought a hidden camera, disguised as a clock, and set it in the living room. I recorded his calls, his lies, his casual cruelty. One night, he spoke to Claire, his voice low, planning to move out, to cut ties. I saved it, my breath shallow, my resolve steel. I met Laura in a cafe, my laptop open, evidence stacked like a fortress. She reviewed the emails, bank records, footage. "This is fraud," she said, and more. She suggested a private investigator, someone to track Claire, to find the money. I agreed, signing the contract, my hand steady. The investigator was fast, photos of James and Claire, laughing at a wine bar, bank records showing transfers, our savings drained. I felt power, holding their secrets, knowing I could unravel them. I contacted our bank, froze the accounts, citing fraud. James didn't notice, too wrapped in his plans. I hired a forensic accountant, Rachel, who traced every penny, building a case that would crush him. The turning point came when I found a letter in his briefcase, a new will, leaving everything to Claire, my name gone. I stood in our bedroom, the paper trembling, my pulse roaring. That was it. I photocopied it, sent it to Laura, and planned my response, not a note, but a reckoning. I wrote a letter, not to James, but to his boss, attaching the investigators' photos, the transfers, a hint of scandal. I sent it, anonymous, knowing it would spark questions. I drafted my own papers, divorce, alimony, fraud claims, with Laura's help. And I waited, calm, ready, my heart steady. Comment below, number 2, to guess how I'd make him pay. He'd never see it coming. Every step precise, a dance only I knew. I didn't confront James, didn't let him see the storm. I kept working, my bookstore a refuge, the scent of books grounding me. I met Rachel, her office a maze of numbers, where she showed me the transfer's flaws, the fraud we'd prove. I prepared my response, not a shout, but a calculated strike, one he'd feel for years. I contacted our friends, shared just enough, the withdrawals, the lies, to gain their support, their anger fueling me. I sent Rachel's findings to the bank, triggering a seizure. I practiced my letter, reading it aloud in the bookstore after hours, my voice echoing off the shelves. The day came, a Friday, James packing for another trip, his suitcase by the door. I handed him my response, a folder, thick with evidence, my smile serene. "Read it," I said, my voice cold. He opened it, emails, photos, bank records, the will, my divorce papers. His face paled, his hands shook. "You thought you could erase me," I said, "but you're the one who's done." I walked out, my bag packed, my car waiting, leaving him with the wreckage of his lies. The aftermath was a whirlwind, but I stood firm. James's boss called him in, the photos sparking an ethics probe, his job hanging by a thread. The bank seized the accounts, returned my share, every dollar he'd stolen. Laura filed the papers, the divorce hearings brutal, James's lawyer flailing against my evidence. The judge granted me alimony, the house, half his assets, a restraining order. Claire left him, her dreams shattered, her name tainted. James faced fraud charges, his name in the news, his charm useless. I struggled, too. The house felt hollow, the lavender wilted, its scent faded. I faced gossip at work, customers whispering, their piteous sting. I doubted myself, wondered if I'd been too harsh, if I'd lost part of me in the fight. But my friends rallied, Laura and Rachel by my side, their coffee dates a lifeline. I started therapy, unpacking the years, the pain, the strength I'd found. I rebuilt, step by step, each one a victory. I sold the house, its memories too heavy, and bought a loft downtown, with windows that caught the city's pulse. I took a promotion, managing multiple bookstores, my days filled with books and purpose. I traveled with friends, laughed in new cities, felt alive. I wasn't the woman James had left, small and trusting. I was Emily, fierce, unbreakable, whole. Months later, I stood in my loft, a book in hand, the city lights glittering below. I'd heard James was in a rented room, his career gone, his life a shadow. Claire had moved on, chasing another dream. I didn't gloat. I'd won, not by sinking to his level, but by rising above, by responding with strength, not silence. The note, that cruel scrap, was long gone, but its lesson lingered. Trust is fragile, but so is arrogance, and I'd broken his. I thought of the woman I'd been, the one who'd loved James, who'd believed in forever. She was still there, her hope, her heart, but she wasn't all of me. I was more, manager, friend, survivor. I closed my book, the pages soft, and felt free. What would you do if someone tried to erase you with a note? Would you stand, like I did, and write your own ending? I hope you would. Because your strength, your story, is yours, and no one can take that away.